Hi, I'm Dan Dauphin at Keycode Media. Today we're taking a deep dive into the features of the ST500 by Quicklink. There's a huge demand from customers who have found themselves in a position where they are not able to have guests in their studio. The Quicklink ST500, a studio in a box, is used when a professionally managed, high-quality interview or contribution is required. But does it live up to the hype? What I like about this system, with the continuing lockdowns, people are having to contribute from their homes using solutions of varying quality. In these scenarios, you have to rely on people's own laptops, their cameras, lighting, and their own quality of microphone. The ST500 is sent out to people's homes to replace these options to elevate the quality of their contributions. Ideally suited for HD studio broadcast, where there are limited on-site technical resources available, the PTZ camera, lights, and audio can all be controlled from any web browser using the Quicklink Manager portal. The Quicklink ST500 is unique in that it comes with a built-in 7-inch monitor that can be used for studio feed, local preview, or teleprompter. A handy feature when you're out in the field and need one less monitor. The monitor is tiny, but you can set up an external monitor via DVI if you need something bigger. Back at the studio, a studio receiver is necessary for point-to-point, ultra-low latency from the remote guests into the production switcher environment over HDSDI or NDI. Quicklink mentions on their website you can expect a 200 millisecond glass-to-glass delay between your remote talent and your studio. However, we found you can even get down to 20 millisecond delay on encode and decode, but video quality can suffer, so be careful with that. Couple other points to hit here. The receiver is a H.265 HEVC equivalent encoder with adaptive rate up to 1080/60. It also comes with 2 channels of audio as well as 1 IFB connection between the studio to the contributor. So let's talk about setup. The front of this unit has a 7-inch touchscreen. Worth considering, the monitor is located at the top of the unit and cannot be moved. So if you're using this as a prompter, this is going to be that slight angle looking up at the camera if you're using a PTZ embedded in the unit. There are 2 built-in LED strips, which make for a really nice key on your subject if you didn't ship with the other 5 available lights that you can control. There are 2 by XLR microphone inputs along with gain knob. This is utilizing a Scarlett 2i2, so therefore you have a headphone jack using a 1/4-inch connector with its own volume knob and a master control. The slot in the middle here is for your PTZ. You can buy the unit with a camera or without. Just make sure you measure it out because it won't fit all PTZ cameras. There is a tripod plate at the bottom as well. Let's talk about the back of the unit. There is an internal HDMI connection for the PTZ camera, a single SDI. This is ready for future deployment, but not functional today on the ST500. There is a DMX 5-pin connector on the back, so you can connect all of your DMX 512 available lighting. There are 2 Ethernet ports, 2 Wi-Fi with SMA connectors. There are your USB 3.1s, your USB-Cs. There are 2 of each of those. A DVI ready for an external monitor, and the handy-dandy 4-pin DIN power adapter at the bottom. Let's talk about cameras. There is an option to buy this unit with or without a built-in camera. The built-in Minray UV510A is a great low-cost option with a 2.8-inch and 2.7 megapixel sensor. The ST500 unit is compatible with all PTZ cameras using Sony Visca or IP protocol, which will work for Panasonic, BirdDog, NewTek, or whatever flavor of camera you prefer. If you want to fit the camera inside the ST500 box, the dimensions are pretty rigid. So don't just assume any PTZ will work. We'll include the full list of recommended cameras in the link below. Let's talk about what you can do with cameras remotely. Remotely, you can manage camera settings including pan, tilt, zoom, exposure, white balance, and more. Chroma key can also be operated remotely, making adding stills or video backdrops an ease. When it comes to recording locally, there is a built-in hard drive, or one of the USBs on the back can easily be configured to an external drive. For the talent, it's literally about just plugging it in and having a production team control everything else from there. Pan, tilt, zoom for camera, audio levels, chroma key, and lighting control all can be configured with minimal need for the talent to set up. Let's talk about lighting. The ST500 can centrally control inbuilt and external lights with support of up to 5 DMX 512 lights utilizing 10 DMX channels. With that, you can use this to control brightness and color temperature remotely using the QuickLink management portal. It can also be controlled by the talent using the menu system on the screen. However, it's most likely if you're getting this unit, you're going to use it remotely. We talked already about the in-unit LEDs, and I have to say, they are really good, especially when you need an easy key. Internet bandwidth. You need at least 10 megabits per second up and down, but we tell clients to have 20 megabits to be safe. And when we talk about bandwidth here, we're talking about bandwidth at the location of the talent in the ST500. Receiver side will likely need much more bandwidth because of whatever other inputs you're using. A good rule of thumb is to have 20 megabits up and down per unit in the production control room. You do have bandwidth control in the management portal. To adjust this, QuickLink will likely say you need less than 20 meg, but this is what we at QCode Media are recommending to make sure that you have a perfect experience with no video issues. It is a Microsoft Windows box, so you'll want to make sure your box is up to date before production starts. Okay, let's wrap this up. In 2020, we saw a lot of different remote guest solutions pop up. Some focus on connectivity with consumer video conferencing tools like Zoom, while other solutions focused on predictable internet connectivity or video quality. The way we look at the ST500 is it is focused on making setup as easy as possible for the non-technical talent without sacrificing quality. The camera, lighting, and audio can all be configured remotely. The talent essentially can plug in a few cords, turn it on, and the rest can be configured by the production team located somewhere else. It's also a small enough form factor that you could essentially ship these units in a Pelican case from one talent to the next location as a kit. That's huge for daytime and contest television shows, as well as any live stream that requires talent that is non-technical when it pertains to production equipment. Now the next question is, how much does the QuickLink cost? How do I connect this into my Ross, NewTek, Grass Valley, or other production switcher? What about large sensor cameras, multicam, and microphones? How do I approach integrating this product into a functional, bulletproof production workflow? This is where we're going to ask you to contact QCode Media. We can set up a technical demonstration, provide pricing information, or evaluate how QuickLink can fit into your production workflow. Visit QCodeMedia.com to get the conversation started.
All right, we're live with Q&A on for our panel today. And on the panel, we've got Richard REES joining us. He's the CEO of QuickLinks. And we've got Dan Dolphin, who's joining us from in Texas. And Dan was able to find a barber between here and there. So I'm just amazed that the way that everything has changed. And then I'll be moderating. I'm the CTO for QCode Media. Both Dan and I are joining via Zoom. You can see the difference between ourselves and Richard, who's running on a QuickLink. We have more compression, all sorts of little artifacts. So it's a little bit different. So a couple things. First of all, we focused a lot on the ST500, but we should probably also talk about the QuickLink return server. How many inputs does that have? What's setup look like for the guest and the team? And can it be accessed remotely?
Sure, that's over to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so so the QuickLink systems, I mean, you've got a whole ecosystem. So we discussed, we showed there the ST500 and the 500E, but all this interconnects into a cloud environment. Fully manageable for pretty well anywhere, just needing just a Chrome browser and on a PC or a Mac. And then that comes down, then gets converted back to baseband or NDI or SRT or any of the standards we have out there. And that comes then out on hardware servers like, for instance, the ST100, the 102s, the 200s, or the 208s we have.
Very good. Question from Mike, the Bruin. Can we have kind of a cover the new features that have come out since July of 2020?
Sure. So there's a number of new features. One of the key ones is that we listened to what people wanted. They wanted more packing density. They wanted to handle issues which people were getting with mixed minuses and and how do they deal with that? So we introduced one of the key ones we've introduced is the conference room facility. So the conference room facility is the facility to take 8 people into the room or 16 people into the room. You just drag them all in there as ST55s, ST100s, or 500s. They all create a complete room environment. So all the mixed minuses are all done in the cloud, so all that's mixed for you, and then you're able then to bring all those down as individual connections down into 208s or 102s. So any of the product ranges are able to, or the receivers are able to receive those. And what you're getting is every single one, you get an individual video and audio from each partition. So there's no kind of mixing like traditional video conferencing where you get all the audios and blend it together. You've got each one coming individually in this environment. So this gives a very, very powerful environment. And on top of that, then the real beast, which we've recently introduced, is our own switching solution. So this allows you to take all those conference room participants into the switcher, allows you to record each one individually as an ISO stream. And then you've also got the facility then to create program output from those and send those off into the Amazon IVS cloud for point-to-point 2 seconds end-to-end delay, or it could be an SRT stream, or it could be an RTMP to all the various in fact all of them together. So you could be sending to YouTube or Facebook, Vimeo, or all these different platforms. And as well as the blending in the cloud of all these, you've also able to send them back. Their individual people have their own program output sent back. So really powerful, real progression in the solutions we're offering, and really coming off the back end of working with our customers, listening to their requirements, listening to their pains, and taking those on board into the product portfolio.
Sounds good. Matt Griffin is wondering if the features of QuickLink products are based on a monthly subscription model.
Sure, there's options available for they can have a yearly environment, and also we have various monthly options available as well. So to speak to our partners at Keycode, they'll be able to go back to you with various options you have.
Excellent. And then let's toss this over to Dan, as he's had some experience working on some of these units with some of our clients. Black Diamond Media is wondering if you can record files locally on the unit.
Yes, you can.
Any idea of how much material you can record?
I don't recall how big the internal hard drive is, but I believe if you just stick it on the USB 3 port on the back and your drive is fast enough to keep up, you're just limited by that.
Excellent. So I'm getting a question from Jennifer.
Good answer there.
Thanks.
She's wondering about the resilience of the network.
So I'm wondering which
Sure. So
networks
the resilience of the QuickLink network. So the key one here is the key, and it's a great question actually, because this is the real one which we've been doing over the last year. I mean, the network was really robust last year, but with the huge growth that we had in the last year, there's been a massive rollout in our network. We have a whole network of back-end servers that sit on the Amazon Azure environment, pretty well sitting at all the various connection points globally. So, you're not looking at a few servers here. You're looking at basically you will connect to the local connection point. So if you're East Coast US, you connect there locally. There's a bunch of resilient front ends that sit there. If for instance the whole of that system went down, you'd switch to West, or if that went down as well, then you'd switch to Europe, or you'd switch to Asia. So so you've got a fully environment there. And the key one as well is that the big one about this network is that it's basically a private network for you guys and girls. Because basically, if you're setting a room for 4 megabit, then every participant that joins in there, so if you've got 8 participants in the room, then everyone is going to connect at 4 megabit. You're not sharing any of this bandwidth. So that's 32 megabit. So we've really taken on board what you want within a broadcast production environment to give you that guaranteed bandwidth for everybody, as opposed to sharing that 4 megabit, let's say between 8 or 10 people. Every call is dropping the more participants that join.
Excellent. Greg is asking, what are the minimum requirements for non-studio use? What does prosumer use look like, if that's possible?
Sure. So we're talking here about the ST500. So the ST500, you can connect from a regular browser. So basically, this is either using the Chrome browsers on the desktop environment, or if you're coming in from an Android, or you're basically using, let's say, an iPhone, it will switch to Safari mode. So really, it comes down to the quality that you want to send in. So any regular, like an iPhone 6, for instance, iPhone 7 would work fine. A desktop environment would be an i3 or an i5 environment. But again, the higher the specification of the system, the higher the quality you're going to get. And if you want really a high quality, then that's really where our hardware solutions come in. So you're able to vary, and we've got graphs to show this. Because there's a paper coming out where you can see of quality of a standard video conferencing against the QuickLink, and where they cut off at a few meg, and we keep going up to 10, 20, 30 megabit. So you've got a system that takes you from really low specification systems right up to the tight, and it's all within the same portal.
Excellent. Well, speaking of quality, Jennifer was wondering, do you have plans to support 4K cameras?
Yeah, we sure do, basically. That's certainly on our roadmap. The back end is already there. The test guys are busy testing it at present. But just basically waiting for the right roll up. So as soon as it's ready, we'll do a big press release on that side, and we'll certainly be supporting we're certainly internally supporting 4K at the moment. Where we're just basically waiting till we've got the product features we're going now, and then we'll be rolling 4K out.
Excellent. So, question for Dan. You've been busy putting QuickLink units in at talents' homes for various shows, and you have various skill levels involved with the folks that are getting those. How has the experience been installing QuickLink systems in the field?
So from a personal standpoint, they're one of the easiest. We actually shipped 3 cases, one being the QuickLink, one being a light kit, to one of the talents' homes, and we had to have basically her assistant set everything up. And she commented, as I ran through the 5-minute spiel of, yep, you take it out of the case, you plug this in, you plug that in. She's like, gosh, I really hate X, Y, and Z's setup because they take 4 hours to set up. I was done with her within 30 minutes. We probably spent another 45 just making sure, little deals behind you, like light sockets don't show, and lighting. But in terms of easy use, it's literally take it out of the box, you plug it in, network, and then you basically call whoever's in the studio and say, okay, I'm on. And then the engineer will take it from there.
Excellent. I mean, obviously on the video, you were able to get that guy in the white sweater to get it dialed in.
Yeah, that guy was impossible.
So Dave,
you make me twitch here now. I'm actually looking behind me about the light socket that I've got behind me. Fortunately, out of shot because they fine-tuned the PTs there to make sure the light socket.
Yep.
Awesome. So Dave is asking if we know of anyone that's using the camera system with the Sienna NDI processing engine products. Sienna does a lot of in the cloud stuff.
Yeah, I know the guys basically. I mean, they're friends of mine basically. So we work together. We're fully compliant. So if you've got the system, we're more than able to basically make sure that we all bridge together.
Excellent. And then the question that always comes up, Omar is asking, what's the cost, I guess MSRP, for the ST500 and the return?
Really, the one on that side is speak to our partners here at QCode, and they'll be able to take that offline and go through all of that with you.
Excellent. So a couple of questions for operational stuff, and we'll toss those to Dan. First of all, have you seen the tally? Does the ST500 have a tally option? And if you happen to be away from a building, can you power the unit via battery?
I'm sure you could devise some sort of battery system. We had talked about, just getting a couple of converters just to power it if you were, say out in the middle of a field. But then you have a couple of other issues that you get to deal with anyway by being that remote. And then in terms of tally, I believe it does have tally. I haven't actually set that up yet.
So I guess let's, Richard, can you hit the...
Sure, do you want me to pick up on those? So the tally basically is you send tally from the server. So there's an option to send tally, and the great thing about the tally is you can actually, instead of just sending a light, for instance, which regular, like hardware units have, ours is purely software based. So you can bring it up in the top and saying on air, for instance, or you could bring a watermark, with your corporate logo, whatever, or you could even send them text as well, all being sent back from the central servers. So you've got full flexibility on that side, where you want to position it on the screen, because that's the great thing about having the two-way touchscreen there. And I'll pick up again on the DC. I mean, the unit is actually internal. Regularly runs a regular 12 volts DC. It is a regulated 12 volts DC. We did do some options where we ran between 9 and 26 volts, but we wanted to keep it simple. So if you have a regulated 12 volt supply you want to run into it, like let's say some camera batteries, for instance, and you're taking it in that way, you could use the camera batteries into a standard 14.8 volt to 12 regulator, and it would boot up sweetly for you.
Awesome. Reynold is asking how about SRT? Is that a protocol that you folks support?
Yep, sure do. So the workflow is you would send from the ST500 or the ST55s into the cloud environment, and that would then send to our servers or our switching environment or our cloud switching environment, and you would then get SRT out of the system that way. So as I mentioned previously, it could be RTMP, it could be NDI coming out, or SRT coming out of the system, or coming back in the other direction, in fact.
Awesome. And then, Richard, can you outline the different markets that are using this? It's got to be more than just broadcast folks.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, it's completely broad. I mean, It's a real interesting one. I mean, even before COVID, we had all kinds of people using the systems. I mean, artificial intelligence companies, hologram companies. These are really kind of different environments. You've got government organizations using them, where we have politicians having them in their environment, feeding into main systems. So yeah, broadcasting, production environments. Pretty well, whatever industry you can think of, QuickLink units are being used. Financial services. We've got some within the courtroom system, so pretty well any kind of industry you can think of, you'll see a QuickLink flag there.
Excellent. So a question that came up regarding chroma key backgrounds: can a video background be used, and how do you input those to the device?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one actually, because what you can do is, because it's all portal based, what you do is if you're logged on from the portal, so take it now, you're logged on as the manager. So basically what you can do is you've got the video locally on that system, so you can then transfer it. And what it does is it transfers that video from your PC or Mac into the hard drive system of the ST500. And then what it does is when it keys, it basically takes that video and embeds it then at that point. So you can really do it. You can do everything remotely. So instead of taking it into your switcher, you can do it all live within the 500 itself. So you can be switching between different people, and the key, and they're both keyed on different videos. So it makes it much easier than if you were doing it purely within your switcher.
Excellent. Follow up from Todd on the SRT. If you use SRT or RTMP, can you take that into a program like Wirecast without needing the receiver?
No, we basically built it that you've got to go through the complete cloud environment. I mean, and the reason for that is the protocol we built in between the systems is it automatically bandwidth adjusts, it deals with packet lossing, it creates this ultra low end-to-end delay. Therefore, that has to be there. So that's all protected within the QuickLink, and the QuickLink protocol is actually QRST basically. I know they're consecutive letters of the alphabet, but really that's just a coincidence. It's our own internal protocol we use, and then but if you did want it, let's say in a cloud environment, then you could look at the option of taking it out as take an ST100 in the cloud, and that would allow you then to take a SRT within the cloud environment. So basically have the whole cloud environment, start up a cloud ST100, and push it out to Mark's SRT protocol.
Excellent. Question for Dan. It looks like he's had some experience with it. Can you talk a little bit more about the support on external lights?
External lines?
External lights.
Oh, external lights. So with the external lights, you can have up to 5 of them all hooked up via DMX. My favorite are the ICANN Milos because they literally just do brightness and color temperature, which you can control from the QuickLink portal. And you basically just assign them a different DMX address, usually spaced to part 2, and then you can control each one individually.
Awesome. So I came up with this question while I was watching the video. There's a couple 9-pin connectors on the back of the unit. What do they do?
The 9-pin connectors on the back of the units, those are serial ports, so if you need to do any serial control on that side of it.
So is
the
it
one
possible...
you mentioned about as well was the SDI connector. Don't forget the SDI is also available internally, so if you weren't using a HDMI camera, you could use a SDI camera as well internally. So you've got a lot of flexibility in there.
Excellent. So any particular protocols or just standard RS-232 on the 9-pin?
Yeah, just standard out of 9-pin RS-232, yeah.
Awesome. And I think that's all the questions we've got. So my apologies to Dan's shrinking beard. I think we're kind of at a wrap. Thanks everybody for joining us on this episode, and thanks to our panelists, Richard and Dan, for answering some questions today. And hope everybody has a great day. And I'll catch you later.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks for inviting me along, and whenever you need me again.
Thanks, Richard.